Transformers are go! Hello my fellow vapors, welcome to another video. Today we're going to take a look at this thing. Yep, the e-mech by DOVPO. Variable voltage, variable wattage, a lot of features on this thing. Let's not waste any time. Let's get started with an up-close look. Alright, here's the e-mech manufacturer, DOVPO, electronic cigarette. Completely made out of metal, really beefy construction and very heavy. It's a very, very heavy device. See on the bottom, it doesn't have a large flat surface, which makes it virtually impossible, especially if you put a tank on it, to have it sit up straight. A little weight just kind of tilts it over. So every time I have a tank on, I always lay it down on its side like that. Before we get to this hideous logo, let's start from the back. Let's start from the battery configuration. It does take two 18650 batteries in parallel series. And the batteries are held behind this plate with these two little hinges, which remind me of every kid's toy I had that took batteries back in the 80s. Had these little two hinges where you open it up to put the batteries inside. But I push these to the side, put your finger there and just kind of lift up this door plate. Pretty sturdy construction. It has two little felt pieces inside here to keep the batteries in place. I have two AW IMR 18650 batteries inside. Nice little beefy springs. No issues with battery rattle. It holds pretty nice. Kind of position the hinges back into the bottom of the device. Push it down. And then close the hinges up. You have a little speaker here. This does have an audible if you choose to do so. You can turn it off in the menu system, which basically beeps every time that you vape, and it is extremely annoying. Also, when you vape, this little screen lights up in the back, giving you the logo. It's pretty, Star Trek-y. Pretty neat. There is your side activation button, which is plastic. On the other side, you're going to see a USB out. You can also use this as a charging device. So if you need to charge your cell phone or another device, you can plug in your USB out here, choose the function on our screen, and then it will power out to a device. You can also use a mini USB to charge the batteries that are existing inside the device. I like that feature. This has a lot of features. It does a lot of things. I just wish it was in a nicer body, a nicer package. Let's get up to the 510 connection. You can remove this ring. This is a 22mm ring. If you look inside there, we do have a spring-loaded connection. Nice feature. Everything will make contact. You do have your ego threading outside here as well. That is the body. Let's take a look at the menu system now. Alright, I've tried every possible angle to get the screen to show up. It's very, very tiny and very bright, so I'm just going to have to take my word for it here. A lot of information on the screen itself. On the top left, we do have a battery indicator. In my case here, it is completely full. I'll just charge these batteries. Right next to it, we do have a puff counter telling us how many times we have vaped. We have the day, the date, the time, and in the middle, we'll see the watt setting. I have it currently set at 7 watts. And when I press the button to fire it, it does have a counter letting me know how many seconds I have depressed the button to vape. It does go from 3 all the way up to 30 watts, and it does round robin. However, you have to keep pressing this touch screen to make the adjustment. You'll see there 30 watts. Go all the way up or down. These two side buttons have of course, the function to raise the voltage or wattage or decrease it. It does 3 to 6 volts as well. But they do have a couple more functions. If I depress the right button and hold it down, you're going to see a little sign come up right there on the left. And that's letting us know now that we can use the output charge port to charge another device. Keep pressing it down, and that's going to disappear from the screen. And the left button, if I keep pressing that, look at that. We have an LED flashlight right next to the connection. Nifty little feature. If you need to use a flashlight out, keep pressing the minus button and it's going to go away. To access the menu system, you press 3 times. And then we're able to navigate through the various stages. Again, I apologize for the screen, but it is pretty tiny. So in this setting here, we can choose between V for variable voltage and W for wattage. Just simply press it 1 time to select it. Here on the next setting of the menu system, we can set the date and time. The next setting is for the beeping sound. If I want to have the beeping sound on, I just turned it on. Now every time that I press a button, you're going to get a beep. Also has an alarm clock. It's pretty neat. If you want to vape at bed and then wake up in the morning, you can set your alarm and take a vape first thing in the morning. Why not? A lot of features. While I have it in that beep setting, every time that I press the button, you're gonna be hearing that that beeping sound. It is pretty annoying. Also, I have tried various atomizers and tanks on this device. I don't have to put this on a scope. I can tell that it's pulse width modulation simply because of the sound and the way that it vapes. But that's an up-close look. That's the functions of the e-mech. Let's begin to vape it. Alright, that was an up-close of the functions. Trust me. That's what it says on the screen. I have the Nautilus Aspire Mini on here. This one's reading 1.9 ohms, the same one that I had on the DNA device in my previous video, set at 7 watts. In fact, let me turn on that beeping sound just so you can be just annoyed with it as I was when I first got it, until I figured out that you can turn it off. There we go. Now I've got it set at 7 watts. This is a pulse width modulation, variable voltage, variable wattage system. I can tell simply by the sound and the vape. And it also appears that it's firing hotter than what the display is. The mean setting as the old VAMOs that had come out last year. I don't have any fancy equipment. I'm going to toss this over to Phil to put it on his scope and see what it's doing. But simply by vaping it, I can tell that it's firing higher than what the display screen is. Especially with this tank, I've used it exclusively since it got to me for a review. And I've set it to other DNA devices at about 8.5 watts where I like it. When I put it on here, it tastes burn. So does my Kayfun and other builds that I have tested out with it. Now, it's really comfortable to hold. I mean, it has these little grips here on the side for your fingers, and depending on how you hold it, no issues. Like if I hold it like this and fire it with my thumb, with my finger, boy, that's annoying. If I turn it around and use my thumb, though, my index finger goes right above where the plus sign is, and those little buttons are very sensitive. So sometimes I'll just sit there and hit it, and then the output charge comes on, or if I hit the minus button, the LED will come on randomly, and it'll change my wattage setting. Many times I was sitting here earlier doing something, I just had my finger on top of it like that, and it just, whoosh, there goes the light. Very sensitive. Also, when you press the button to turn on the light or the output, it also changes the wattage. So you see there, we're down to 5.5 watts now by depressing that button. If I press the button to turn off the light, down to 5 watts. So I have to go back and raise my watt setting to what I had it before. Alright, let's take this off. According to the manufacturer, you can fire down to 0.8 ohm coils. I've actually put a 0.6 ohm build on here and it fired it, no problems. Put my Kayfun here. This is a 0.9 ohm build. It's actually showing 1 ohm on this. I'm going to go into the voltage setting. Set it on volts. And I'm going to set it for 3.7. Here we go. I can tell that's way hotter than it should be at 3.7 volts. Turn off that beeping sound too. I think you get the point now. Let me put my Zenith on here too. I think I have this one at 0.6. This is a 0.6 ohm build set at 3.8 volts. No issues firing it there. Pretty much everything that I've put on there, whether it's a tank or a rebuildable atomizer, or some of these Aspire Nautilus tanks and the Kangaroo Pro tanks, no issues whatsoever. All right, so let's get to some final thoughts, especially with that guy. All right, let's get to some final thoughts for the e-mech by DOVPO. Built very well, very sturdy. The fact that it takes two 18650 batteries, long-lasting. If you run into a bind and you can't charge your batteries, you can actually use a mini USB and charge the existing batteries that are in the device. And you can also output charge your cell phone or some other device in case of an emergency. The screen, even though it is a little bit outdated and small, it does provide a lot of information. The clock, the time, the alarm clock, to me, not really useful, but somebody else might find it useful. The fact that it does up to 30 watts, variable wattage, variable voltage, just a lot of features with this thing. Adjustable 510 pin and plus, of course, ego threading. What I don't like about it, the fact that you can't stand it up, especially if you're going to put a tank, it's just going to fall over. The beeping sound is extremely annoying. The buttons are very sensitive on the touch screen, and I find myself changing the settings sometimes. The button, 50-50. If you like this kind of a recessed flush button inside, I don't really have an issue with it, but some people might find it a little bit difficult to find and push inside there. The biggest issue that I have with the device is that logo. Why? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. There's absolutely no reason for a transformer to be on an electronic cigarette. With all the pressure that we have from the government now, and rightfully so with some of these e-liquid names and e-liquid manufacturers that are out there, but there's absolutely no reason to have a transformer. Put Pubis Sardo's face on the damn thing. I don't care what you're going to put. This is clearly going to be targeted by some of the government officials. I project that it might be held up by one of these senators saying that, hey, look at that, electronic cigarettes, they're promoting to kids. So, barring the logo aside, for what you'll pay for this device, it's not a bad device. The pulse width modulation, you know, if you use Cardos, you get a little rattling sound, might be a turnoff. The wattage and the voltage is a little bit higher than what it shows on the screen. Kind of like the older VAMOs when they were in the mean setting. But I haven't seen anybody here in the United States selling them yet. VaporTech USA has them on pre-order. They come in 3 colors, black, red, and silver, for $72.99. So if you get about 60, 70 bucks, it's not a bad device. But gotta get that thing out of there. The manufacturers need to listen to the vendors here, and the vendors need to pressure the manufacturers to remove that before bringing it to the United States for sale, in my humble opinion. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please write me a line, vapinggreek@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, G+, and Demisphere.com. You can catch me over with the Vape Team Media at youtube.com/vapeteam, or my radio podcast live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, Smoke Free Radio. Thank you for watching.